How bad is it really for Americans? Social media is flooded with a whole bunch of fear. It's hard to tell what is legitimate and what is misinformation. What is the reality of the situation here in the US? How bad is it really for us? There is so much going on in the news I can't even keep with the problems. Seems like our country is going downhill. Or is that the media? I gotta raise 3 girls with my wife and it just seems like I got a long rocky road ahead, especially with us being lower middle class. I am finding it hard to imagine any kind of somewhat normal life for our future unless I happen to stumble across $1 million lol. Only thing I can think of is to prepare for the worst and hope for the best, which is hard when you're broke lol. It's the media's job to keep you worried about things. You stay worried. You keep clicking. You can live your life in perpetual fear if you like. But turning off the noise is much more relaxing. This website is just about as bad as it gets in terms of portraying the state of affairs from a terrible perspective. It aggregates the most emotion-evoking content and feeds it to you one post after another. It's impossible to maintain a positive outlook unless you safeguard yourself against intellectual propaganda. Significantly better than for most people who have ever lived in all of human history. This is true for most people that live in modern democracies. However, there has been a surge in political extremism that is highly concerning. The rise of an authoritarian isn't out of the question. I believe the average American would give you the shirt of his/her back and are very good people. Politicians want to divide us for votes. But the other side aren't monsters. They are just like you and me. Don't fall for the BS. It's the media. Historically speaking, the modern American citizen lives a life of luxury and safety unimaginable to most people who have lived on this planet, and yet still allow themselves to be convinced that their livelihood hangs by a thread. It's almost perverse. Perceived fear helps keep people voting a certain way. There's like 350 million Americans. You can find a few 100,000 people or a million in pretty much any situation. For some it's great, for others terrible. And we have no idea what things will be like a decade from now when your girls are older. You have the support of your wife and a 2-income household. You're doing much better than most these days. Chill. Stop watching the news TV. News sells, and the more dramatic the news the better it sells, and these news outlets, CNN, Fox, MSNBC et al. All manufacture their own news with their bias included. Truth is becoming a fleeting concept of the past. Social media as well as modern news TV, YouTube intentionally try to make you feel gloomy and outraged so you keep your eyes stay glued to their advertisements. It is all manipulation of your mood. The reality is that the US is doing very well right now, especially compared to the rest of the world. Our economy is legit booming. Prospects for our kids have never been brighter. And we are in the midst of some profound technological advancements that are shaping our future for the better. My advice is to unplug from the social media and TV that is dragging everyone down and instead look at all the good things out there. Turn off the TV and go to a local park. Quit doom scrolling on your phone and visit with a friend or family member. It's not that bad. What problems are you talking about? I can't think of any major problem right now that is US specific. Inflation? That affects almost every country in the world. It's just the media. Things are fine. You have to remember people have been claiming the end of the world is coming since like the 1950s. Lol. I remember my parents telling me about how everyone was panicked because of the year 2000. We're going to be fine. Don't let the doomers stress you out. Live your best life and enjoy it. I say get off social media, including Reddit, and focus on doing what you can to improve your life. and that of your family. I was much happier when I was focused on my career, going to church, and spending time with friends. My life was constantly improving and I just didn't have time to be on social media all the time. Most of the people I meet in real life are relatively happy and don't seem to be as worried about all the issues mentioned in the media, if at all. This site in particular has a much higher proportion of miserable people than I've met in real life. We should never settle for the current state of our country, but it's also important to reflect on how far we have come. Would you rather live in America now or 100 years ago? If not 100 years ago, why not? I can think of a ton of reasons right away that I would not want to live here or anywhere 100 years ago. But we still need to make progress and improvement for a long time to come. Well, if you want healthcare for yourself and your family, it's really fucking bad. But if you don't care about that, you'll be okay. Delete that TikTok and don't hang out on Facebook or Instagram or any other crap. Especially don't get your news from there. The economy is trash. Wages are stagnant and corporations are robbing us as well as their government representatives, but historically this is the safest time to be alive for most people in the world compared to any time throughout human history. It's probably fine for most people, but not everyone. For some people it's really fucking bad. I think in regard to healthcare here it's a goddamn hellhole. Everyone deserves care and so many people are one serious illness away from having their lives destroyed even if they survive the illness. My life is better today than ever. It just takes time to build your family, but you will. More experience and just doing things right will see you through. The less I look at media, the happier and better I feel. End of story. Without it all together, life I great. There are programs to help you alleviate some of that pressure. Utilize them when you can. And when you're back on your feet, remember that these programs do help Americans. Good luck with the 3 daughters though. Don't worry too much about media. It's basically a giant soap opera meant to be dramatic. If something it says catches your eye, write it down and look up information on it later that will not be twisted. I think it's really bad and I'm afraid there's no one going to fix it. Neither Republican or Democrat. It's so out of control. National debt is beyond out of control. I'm older so I don't care about myself, but I do worry about my kids and grandkids. The future doesn't look bright. We might be going downhill, but we're still on the highest hill. There are people on here with the agenda of making you feel scared. It's weird, but you see them coming in waves to reinforce each other. Let them have themselves and not affect you. What metric are you using when you state inflation is being brought under control? Because commodity prices are still rising in comparison to real wages and we are still increasing our monetary supply. Stop watching the news. We stopped watching the news and no FB, Instagram, Tik, etc. Life has been so much better. I'm at apathy. I suppose that might have been the point. Overload me with so much shit I just stop caring and it just rolls on. We comparing it to the world, then it doesn't get much better than the USA truly. We are just spoiled. The top comments on here are pretty baseless and sugar-coated. Things are bad. Democracy isn't likely to make it. Chances are Trump takes and keeps control, leading to the fall of the republic as we know it. Meanwhile, we do nothing in the face of climate change and public education is worse than ever. It's not the media. Fucking vote. Put the phone down. Stop watching the news and go outside and enjoy life. Once you do that, just about every place is better. Problem number 1 is the media is a shit show circus. I've never seen this country in shambles like this before.